All right, it's 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on this Saturday, August 22nd, 2026. My name is Wes. I am the creator, co host, and social media manager of this Star Trek podcast called Twin Cities Trekkies, a Star Trek podcast talking about everything from the original Star Trek all the way to Starfleet Academy and everything in between. And this is live episode number 21, talking about the latest episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 4, Episode 5, Level 5 Transporter Accident. Before we get into the discussion and other things in my mind, I want to let you guys know that the chat is open so you can chop yourselves in, say hello, and drop yourselves in the chat and stuff like that. And let's get it started by finding out how you can get in touch with us. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. You can find us at TC Trekkies Pod on Facebook. Instagram is Twin Cities Trekkies Pod, all one word. You can also find us on Blue Sky at TC Trekkies, or you can follow us on TikTok by going to Twin Cities Trekkie. Or you can email us at tctrekkiespodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to send us an email with anything you'd like to say. If this episode of Strange New Worlds was not one of your favorite episodes, or was one of your favorites, it actually is one of mine. You can definitely do, and I will read your email on a future episode of this podcast. If you also want to leave us a comment on Spotify, when the episode's live stream audio will be dropping on Tuesday evening at around 6 p.m. Central. I know I did it this past Wednesday, but I'm going to try to aim for another Tuesday drop of the audio. You can definitely do that and navigate to live episode number 21 in the Spotify feed and type your comment there. It takes one day for the comment to reach back to us via an email. Just keep in mind that any emails or comments could be read on a future episode of this podcast. Well, the first thing I want to mention is I look different than last week. That is because for the first time in about 2.5 years, I've got new glasses. So, I got new glasses. Just this past Wednesday, and I like them. I ordered them a week and a half prior to that. I went to see the eye doctor and stuff like that for the first time in a while, since my regular eye care specialist had moved out of downtown Minneapolis. So I had to find a new one, and thus I found this one. It's not that far away from actually where I live. Actually, it's only a few blocks away. So I did that after doing some other errands that day, and decided to get new glasses. These frames are cool. They're Ray-Ban, so you're aware of that brand and stuff like that. The lenses are transition lenses. For the first time in more than 60 years, I've gotten transition lenses. I didn't know there's different colors now of the transition lenses. I got amethyst color. So when it's exposed to direct sunlight, they'll turn kind of like a light purple. Um, so I thought I'd let you guys know about my glasses look like now, stuff like that. So I do look a little different than before, but just thought I'd let you know, because since I'm a type 2 diabetic, I need to get my eyes checked every year. I mean, granted, that's supposed to be the rule of thumb, is to get your check your eyes every year. But now with me being diabetic, I need to make sure of that more often. So I don't mind sharing my personal stuff about what's going on with me, because obviously it could affect how I do this show and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm not in danger of like going into a diabetic coma or anything like that. My diabetes is pretty under control now, um, and stuff like that. I mean, I do get spikes of blood sugar once in a while, but that's only because of what I eat. But other than that, I don't get regular high blood sugars anymore, or low blood sugars anymore. I hardly ever get that. So, if you want to comment about my glasses, feel free. Um, I did drop the live stream audio from last week's episode on Wednesday evening at around 7 p.m. Central. Check that out. So check that out. Check that out. I did drop it. I didn't drop the episode art, but I did change the some of the text in it. So if it's there, you can listen to that and stuff like that. I just recently completed my first of two appearances on the Undiscovered podcast. This one was talking about the 5th episode of season 3 of Enterprise, Impulse. I will be back in about 3 weeks to talk about Twilight. To those who don't know what that one is, that's the episode that is more in tune with yesterday's Enterprise, in which the Xindi mission goes horribly wrong, and it results in absolute failure. And, Earth is wiped out, humanity is nearly wiped out, and stuff like that. So this will be definitely an episode to talk about extensively with Kyle Bain and Greg Verab, to talk about that episode of of Enterprise. And you never know, I might talk to them after the recording, going like, "Hey, I want to do similitude too." So I don't know. Maybe we'll do it right before we record. I don't know. But I'm still gonna ask if I can get these audio. I'll keep them intact. I just want to put my own little intro at the beginning of it and stuff like that. I mean, granted, there could be some alterations if I can do so, but I would totally love to get these on my podcast feed too, like cross promotion kind of thing. So check out the Undiscovered podcast. Present the Xindi Saga Pod, episode 5. I think it would be 6 actually, because they went to the second season finale, The Expanse. So it would be the 6th part of this that epic journey going through Impulse. So we had a fun discussion. It lasted about an hour and stuff like that. So I will be back in September to do Twilight, and then eventually I will be on the real reactions show that Greg does with Kyle, talking about a Denzel Washington movie. So that'll be fun because I actually have a little bit of history seeing that. There was a time when I had a tape of old episodes of Deep Space Nine on tape when the show was on at like 1, 2 in the morning and had like a 4-hour block on Channel 9, KMSP TV, which is now Fox 9 in the Twin Cities. And they were doing like a, what are they called, entertainment timeout. It was like a little, it was like 5-minute show talking about a movie that was coming out in the future, and it actually happened to be the movie that they're going to be talking about, which is I believe it's called Fallen, with Denzel Washington. So the time is on my side. Yeah, that plays throughout the movie. I know that for sure. So So I won't get sick of Greg. I don't get sick of Greg because he's a great guy. He's a great podcasting friend, and I'm gonna try to get him on my show again sometime in this soon regarding the 60 years of the Final Frontier. Speaking of that celebration, I am gonna start it again in September. Restart it again because I've been so busy this summer and stuff like that, and with my little mini e-scooter accident I had and stuff like that. I've just been, in my personal life and stuff like that. Other things I've been doing, I haven't really gotten a chance to get started on doing it again. But we do have 2 episodes out for that. I'm not going to title them in my titles at all because the description will be what it's going to be. It's going to be 6 Years of the Final Frontier, Part 1, Part 2. They're already out. Part 1 was my favorite episodes of Enterprise. Did the same format I did for DS9, did the same format for Voyager, did the same format for Enterprise. 3 favorites, 2 honorable mentions from each season. I did the same thing for the original series as well, since it was both anniversaries were on the same year and stuff like that. I probably will do the same thing next year when we talk about the 40th anniversary of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and probably the 10th anniversary of Discovery. So, but I'll probably do those things separate that time, because I'll do those things separate and try to get them closer to. I'll probably do one. I'll probably do separate ones that time, and probably do a Discovery celebration towards the middle of September of 2027, and have the Next Generation one go the rest, and go maybe, and have the Next Generation one go probably either in the spring or the winter of 2027. Because I know I had, because that's how I completed the Voyager celebration, was do an episode every day. So I might just do that same kind of format. I'm not sure yet, but for the 60 years of the Final Frontier, we'll definitely try to get that thing started again in September. There's 2 episodes already out, but I'm gonna try to aim for at least probably maybe another 6, 7 parts of it. I know that there are people out there who want to be part of the show. Mainly Lorenzo, who actually has a really fun Star Trek story to talk about, because he was a part of the art staff for Star Trek 4 and 5. My friend Ed, My Figure Universe, aka My Figure Universe, who hosts Boosting the Signal. I know he wants to be on the show. There's another person I want to reach out to about that, and I also want to get Kenzie back. And hopefully one of the episodes of this 60 Years of the Final Frontier celebration will be a recording at Twin Cities Con 2026. We'll know next month if we're going to be a part of that. I'll keep you guys posted. I applied as soon as I got the email, and hopefully it got accepted, and we'll find out, because I think it'll be a lot of fun. And if Kenzie can't do it, I'll find some I'll find some Star Trek fan in the cities who wants to do it. So I know there's plenty of them. So I would totally love to have that happen. So that is what is going on for Twin Cities Trekkies. I might just take a few weeks off from making new episodes, and then come back in September. There will still be postings. Don't get me wrong. There will still be postings. It'll just be the live streams of these episodes of Star Trek. So we'll definitely be doing that. So I see 2 people say, so if you are there, hello. 1. There you go. Hello. 1. But, and they're gone again. But, yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing for Twin Cities Trekkies. Yeah. There'll still be postings of new episodes. It'll just be the live streams, audio of these things. I am gonna try to do. I'm gonna try to do it next Saturday too. But I probably will bounce back to Sunday. Maybe because I don't want to have I kind of have I mean, it's not because I have a conflict or anything like that. It's because I have other things to take care of on Saturday. So nothing personal. It's just like I want to do some overtime at my day job. So, or I could just split it up too, because I can do it whenever I want. I mean, I could split it up, and maybe I can get up early, do a few hours of work, take a break, do this, come back to the work, and finish work for the week, and stuff like that. So it's nothing personal. I just like having extra money, I'd make a pretty decent living, but I would love to have extra money. So, that is pretty much what's going on for the podcast and stuff like that. So, so hopefully, things will be going on pretty soon. I did record. So you might see me tonight on Trek Masters quiz. One more thing. You might see me live on on the Trek Masters quiz. I did their 100th episode is going live. Is going to be live tonight at 7:30 Central Time. So, and I've been a part of it twice. Davey had reached out to me. David, who is the main host of that show, reached out to me on Instagram about a month ago saying we're going to be doing our 100th episode soon, and we would like to record a thank you note. And I did. I did record a thank you note. Hopefully, it will show up. I did do one. I did tell them that I saw the posting recently that they're going to do it tonight. And so I reached out to him and say, "Hey, I did do one. It's in the Google Drive. He gave me a Google Drive link, and I put it in there. I hope he found it. But I did put it in there. So hopefully it's there. There's one already out there on their Instagram. It's from my friend Ed. Congratulating them on 100 episodes, and it's gonna be a really fun episode. So I might stick around and watch that because Davey is not the one. My friend David is not going to be hosting it. It's actually going to be he's going to be a contestant for the first time. So against his co-host MC from Strange New Pod. So who also does Strange New Pod. So it's gonna be fun. I hope you'll stick around and watch it. It's Trek Masters Quiz on YouTube. Go find it. Go watch it live. It's at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central on YouTube. I'm just doing a little shout out for them because I've been on the show twice against my fellow Trek Master Jason, and we both have one win apiece. He won the first time for this. We did reasons for the seasons quizzes. So he beat me at DS9 season 5, and then I beat him at Voyager season 7. So now if we do one next year, I hope it will probably be one of the newer shows. We could probably do. Maybe we can do. I don't know. Oh my gosh! If I had to choose, it would probably be one of the older shows. I'd probably be maybe TNG season 3. Oh man, that'd be great. That'd be great. Some of the odd number seasons for the 24th century era shows. There you go. That'd be great. That would be great. TNG season 3, DS9 season 5, Voyager season 7. So, so that'd be great. So, but check them out. Yeah, Trek Masters Quiz tonight, 7:30 Central, live on YouTube. And if you don't watch it, then go listen to it on audio because it drops it drops the next morning on your favorite podcast platform, and the live stream will be available for everyone to watch after the fact. So that's the same thing with this too. If you want to leave comments after that, go for it. After the live stream is over, because there were comments on a few of my live streams from last summer when I did Strange New Worlds. So, and they found me through Ed. So Anita was one of those. Anita, who was interacting last week, found me through Ed. So found this live stream through Ed. So, but enough talking about me and my podcast. Let's talk about the latest episode of Strange New Worlds, Level 5 Transporter Accident. Now, I know that this episode has gotten, quite frankly, a volcano of reactions, both positive and negative. And unfortunately, it has gotten a lot more negative than it is positive because, I've said on this show with other podcasters, I've said it with other people, rage farming wins every time, and that's for anything. It's not necessarily for pop culture. It could also be for food. Could also be for politics. Could be for anything. News. I mean, that's why that's the problem. Hate sells. So I'm just gonna say that hate does sell because I'm not gonna hate on this episode, but to preface that, first of all, But there are people who just love to rage farm against things, and it could be anything. Could be anything in pop culture. Could be anything in politics. Could be anything in um anything in food or news and stuff like that. Rage farming sells. So let's just say that the people who rage farm against things are the ones who always get the money, always get the likes, always gets the clicks, always gets anything, you know. And that's and it's unfortunate that, in my opinion, that rage farming ends up getting more money than positive farming does. And it's kind of disappointing, to be honest with you. So, like I said, level 5 transporter accident has gotten a lot of flack, but it also has gotten a lot of praise too. I'm one of those people who actually will praise this episode of Strange New Worlds because I know that people tended to are getting a little bit tired of the constant gimmicks that the writers of Strange New Worlds have done over the past, actually since the beginning. You know, this was a fascinating discussion, and this was a fascinating point, and this is actually from VHS Jace of the Captain's Quadrant. He brought this up last night on the Captain's Quadrant that he because they were talking about jumping the shark, and Joe and him were talking about that, and they had Duncan Fraser on the show too. Duncan Fraser, who was a guy who was like a recurring tertiary character on Enterprise. And I kind of want he follows the show on Instagram, my show. He was on the show last night. I kind of want to get in touch with him so I can be on my show, on this show. But definitely, so he brought up the fact that maybe it wasn't the crossover with Lower Decks was the instance that Strange New Worlds jumped the shark. And actually, he says it started with Hemmer's death and All Those Who Wander. So with the Gorn turning not humanoid into the more of the xenomorphs from Alien. So and I have to agree now. I mean, I wrote a comment. It didn't show up on the discussion at all, but it did show up for maybe like a minute or two, maybe like 30 seconds. It did show up, but they didn't say it. And then I said I kind of agree with him that maybe Strange New Worlds did jump the shark as early as season 1, episode 8. So All Those Who Wander. So and the whole thing regarding the Gorn being more like xenomorphs and stuff like that, and the death and stuff like that, it hasn't really fully recovered from that. But I know that there are people out there who probably would think that level 5 transporter accident was an instance where the show jumped the shark again. But let's face it, folks. Star Trek has always had funny episodes like this. You know, I mean, yeah, I get it why people are getting a little bit tired of the tropes and tired of the gimmicks every single episode. Like this season, we've had travel back in time to dinosaurs. We also had an Event Horizon type of episode, the Griffin incident. We also had Dude, Where's My Car? We also had a film noir episode. And 4 out of 5 this season has not been that bad, you know, because I really loved this episode of Strange New Worlds. I really loved the fact that most of the whole crew except for Spock turned into the Muppets, and I thought this was cool. I mean, this was teased about at San Diego Comic-Con last summer when they did a little preview trailer for season 4, and it showed Pike as a Muppet. And, you know, those, I mean, you know, and it's kind of interesting that we knew who the director was already. It was Jordan Canning. She's directed episodes of Strange New Worlds in the past, before this episode, obviously. But she also has experience with Jim Henson's Creature Shop, who created the Muppets for this episode of Strange New Worlds. And she has experience with them. having been associated with the Fraggle Rock reboot on Disney Plus. So, so she has experience working with puppets and stuff like that, and working with them and directing them and stuff like that. It was really, it was a really funny episode to watch. It really was. It really was a really fun episode to watch. I actually had a lot of fun watching this. Um, it was just, we've had absurdity Star Trek episodes in the past, and some of them have been really, really funny, and some of them have been really, really terrible in terms of the absurdity of it. I'm thinking of like episodes like The Trouble with Tribbles, or I'm thinking of some other episodes of this show too. It could be you could think of the Lower Decks crossover. You could think of was funny too. Well, this episode, holy crap, was this funny? I thought it was just I, I I have nothing bad to say about it regarding how funny it actually was. It actually was really, really funny, and I thought, oh my gosh, what is this? Is I mean, I turned my brain off, so to speak, because I knew it was going to be an episode where it was not going to be relying too much on intellectual abilities, but rather your perception of reality. Granted, this was all in spite. Granted, this whole thing was just absurd, and it was just hilariously absurd. When the ship was being attacked by the Orions, and then when it was being damaged and stuff like that, the crew starts flying and stuff like that. They were acting just like the Muppets were, and you just had to laugh because if you've ever seen like you've seen like the Muppet Show or any of the Muppet movies or something like that, you know that you're gonna expect that kind of hilarity when you get like when something happens, when something shakes. So it was just too darn funny, and I really, really did love this. Um, and I see 5 people in the chat. I see 5 people online. If you're watching this, say hello, please. I would love for you to chime in on your thoughts about this episode. But the only thing about this episode of Strange New Worlds that I did not like is that the whole thing was a dream. The whole thing about having this episode be a dream of Spock's mind when he was he's because we still have some callbacks to the Griffin incident with regarding how he's struggling trying to compose himself again after what happened, with all the trauma he went through on the Griffin. But this episode was supposed to be about what's happening in his mind, and it's like, oh yeah, Anita says try to watch this episode. Hello, Ray and Anita, by the way. Anita says, try to watch this episode, and it must be my age. I felt like they were trying to reach a younger crowd. Maybe they were trying to reach a younger crowd with this. And I actually happen to agree that this episode probably was, if you ever wanted to watch a movie, watch an episode of Strange New Worlds with your family, this would be the episode to watch with. Because of the fact of the matter is, this episode didn't really do anything crazy in terms of like any like what's it called, excessive violence or anything like that or something like that. While there was violence, it was just hilarious violence, if that makes any sense. So this episode of Strange New Worlds kind of did that very, very well regarding how they best made an episode that was you can turn off your brain for a half hour, for an hour, and just enjoy the absurdity of it, and sometimes you just have to bow to the absurd. So, and this was definitely an episode where you can just bow to the absurd and just laugh. because I'm just gonna say this. Considering how stressful your our lives have been over the past few years, especially if you live here in the Twin Cities. I'm just gonna say this for the people who live nearby and stuff like that. We've gone through so much stress in the last 6 years, be it the pandemic, the death of George Floyd, and the subsequent riots, and also the other things happening world wise and politics wise and stuff like that, and with all the food recalls in this country and stuff like that could cause a lot of stress. You need an episode to escape that all that stuff, and you need an episode to laugh. This episode succeeds on all levels regarding that, and I enjoyed this a lot. I enjoyed all of this. Yes, so true. Yeah, we definitely need an episode to escape for an hour, and this was definitely that. Because it was just too darn funny. And it was just like I was laughing throughout the episode. And then unfortunately the ending kind of took me out of the laughter. And I was like, oh nuts. This is bad. But I thought this episode was just an episode that I could enjoy and enjoy again. I could sit down and enjoy it again if I wanted to. Not unlike Not unlike the Human Best Friend episode. That episode I will never watch again, probably, because it was just that bad. But this episode was just the polar opposite of that. I mean, I am looking forward to the rest of the season now because I actually have higher hopes now. Because 4 out of 5 episodes this season have not been that bad. Regarding how interesting it actually has been regarding Strange New Worlds. It has been better than season 3. I can give you that because season 3, I think, in my opinion, went down in terms of its quality because of the strikes did affect it. However, there was some good episodes in season 3, but not as much as season 4 has been. Season 4 has been, 4 out of 5 has not been that bad. So and I compared it last week to a football game. So if you're gonna throw it to the end zone for a touchdown, this one definitely did. But yeah, definitely did. I mean, that was just the only minor nitpick I have is the ending. That is this whole thing regarding the Muppets and stuff like that was all in Spock's head. It was all in Spock's brain, Spock's mind, and he was just dreaming the whole thing up, which is a tired trope. I have to agree about that because I didn't like this Bob Newhart type of ending. But I think that's what I said before. I think Strange New Worlds has. I said before that Strange New Worlds has been taking a lot of creative risks, and sometimes it hasn't succeeded, and sometimes it has. This one definitely feels like an episode that they did a creative risk, took a very, very risky creative risk by trying to incorporate the Jim Henson Creature Shop, and turn the Enterprise crew, except for Spock, into Muppets. But this episode definitely was a creative risk that succeeded for the most part. Jordan Canning, who directed this episode, did a fantastic job, and you have to give props to the cast of Strange New Worlds for with their voices, and then Ethan Peck as Spock. I mean, he carried the show. He carried that episode mostly all the way through, and you had some really notable guest stars too. You had Rachel Harris, who is best known for being on Lucifer, played the Orion captain, and you had I forgot his name, Joe something. I don't remember his last name. I just remember his first name, Joe, who is best known for his role in Brooklyn Nine-Nine as her subordinate. So you had some pretty heavy guest stars. I mean, with guest stars with star power in terms of comedy and stuff like that, comedy and drama. I mean, Rachel Harris has made a return appearance in Star Trek for the first time in almost 30 years. She was Kes's mom in the episode. Oh yeah, she was Kes's mom in Before and After. So if you want to see more of Rachel Harris in Star Trek, go watch the episode of Voyager. It's from near the end of season 3 of that show. Ray says, "Do you think the audience may not appreciate the science-based stories as much as the humor?" Oh, do you think the stories may not appreciate the science-based stories as much as the humor? It depends on how you think about it, Ray. Actually, it really depends how you think about it. Um, it's mainly a perception of that. It's the perception of the audience. I like science-based stories too, and I will truly love the science-based stories and the ones that challenge you to think what's going on in this world. Like that's what Star Trek's known for, with all the messages, meanings, and morals. That that podcasts like Mission Log and Roddenberry Star Trek podcast tend to do. But sometimes I think it's just a perception. To answer that question, I think it's the perception of that. I mean, if you like the science-based stories, that's fine. I like the science-based stories too. I like the ones that challenge your perceptions of things. And I also like the movie episodes where it's just hilarity, like this one is. And I enjoyed the living heck out of it. I mean, yes, there was some missed opportunities, obviously. Mainly turning the Enterprise into a Muppet too, into a giant Muppet, into a velvety, velvety starship, like the like the Muppets, because I mean, the science part of it was a little bit out there in terms of trying to with Scotty trying to best his colleague, his rival from the Academy in terms of how far they can beam something, but but definitely it's just to answer that question, right? It would probably be your perception of things. So it's just mainly one person's perception. If you prefer the science-based stories, go for it. If you prefer the hilarity, go for it. If you prefer the ones that make you think about what's going on, sure. Star Trek can do a lot of different things. They can do a whole lot of different things. That's what the Star Trek format has been so flexible for the last 60 years. So definitely, Star Trek can do pretty much anything, and this can be an episode that can be considered a fortunate episode of Star Trek, in which you probably couldn't see this happening on any other show other than probably The Next Generation or the original series. But you couldn't really see it, or Voyager for that matter. But I think Strange New Worlds could only be doing this. Could they do it well, and they did. So, but yeah, the episode was just fantastic. I really did enjoy this a lot, except for the ending about the whole thing being a dream. The Bob Newhart type of ending, no. But maybe there's some missed opportunities here with the title sequence. First of all, they missed the title sequence being completely made up of the material of the Muppets, because that would have been just freaking funny. Yeah, Anita said, "I am prone to enjoying the monsters and aliens the original cast had to fight." Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Those episodes are fine. If you want an episode that they go fight aliens, go fight it. Go for it. If you want an episode where there's a science experiment gone wrong and everything turns into certain things like that, that's fine. This is an episode that could be seen as on the threshold of the absurdity aspect of it, Spock's brain or Threshold or a very good holodeck episode like Ship in a Bottle or from Next Generation or Move Along Home. I want to say about that because I actually have a soft spot for that episode of DS9 from the first season. Move Along Home. Almarine come to one, hurt to four. Yeah. So I mean, this episode is just fantastic. I enjoyed it very much, and that's okay. It's just that's why the Star Trek formula has been so flexible for the last 60 years, and hopefully will continue for the next 60 years. So, or yeah, or they travel back in time. That could be a hilarity too because the fish out of water scenario. Fish out of water scenario. You know, like some of the most famous episodes of Star Trek have been time travel episodes or alternate realities or alternate reality episodes. Some of those alternate realities that are not necessarily the mirror universe, but definitely episodes like those like time travel stories in which the crew goes to the past or stuff like that, or ends up somewhere like stuff like that. Yeah, I mean we had a time travel story already, technically with the season premiere, Valis Veneris. So we definitely enjoy. We actually had that episode happening and it was had a moral dilemma and stuff like that in the middle of it and stuff like that. At the end of it, that was great. And I still think that episode is one of the best season premieres I ever watched. So it was definitely better than last season's premiere. So yeah, so I'm gonna give this level 5 transporter accident a 5 out of 5 because even though that ending kind of detracts the viewing a little bit, it's still great. And Anita says she tried to watch the episode and she says it must have tried to reach a much younger crowd, and I can understand that. But if you had seen I'm gonna say this: if you had watched Sesame Street, if you had watched The Muppet Show, if you had watched Fraggle Rock, if you had watched any of the Muppet movies, I can see why you got that impression. So, but that's okay. It happens. It happens. It really does happen. Sometimes it may not. For an episode that I enjoy doesn't have to be necessarily yours. We can agree to disagree on that. So, 5 out of 5, top notch episode. The next episode after this is called Off Hour. So, I have no idea what that's going to be like. I'm hearing rumors that an episode this season might be an anime style episode. I'm hearing rumors. I heard rumors over before the season premiered that we'll get an episode that's in the style of anime. So, I don't know. This could be it. I don't know. Could this be it? I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with this next episode, because I'm actually kind of curious. Is it going to be another trope, or is it going to be another interesting gimmick episode? Because it'll be interesting to see. And then we're going to get Trelane back. I know that. I've heard that we're going to get Trelane back somehow, and Doug. Somewhere, some way, somehow, we'll get them both somehow in this season. Who knows? But that's going to be it for today. I enjoyed having interactions again. We're going to try to do this next Saturday. If not, I'll try to do it next Sunday. So for the episode Off Hour. So until next week. Before I end the show, I said that's what keep people watching, to see what they'll do. Yeah, exactly. That's the point of the show. That has actually been I think the strange new world they discovered this week was Spock's head, and also the world of the Muppets. So, yeah. Take care, everybody. Live long and prosper.